Hey, it's me, the RWG, AKATheSKay, and today I'm here to talk about something I thought should have its own video. Because, well, you know, my videos tend to have like a bit of talky, and then the stuff happens, but then we decided we're not going to do that anymore because we got one group of people who like the talky, and we got another group who like the comedy, and we got another group who like the DBZ, so I don't know. We're trying things a bit different this time. Anyway. We've had a bunch of Xenoverse videos in a row, which I was able to put together with some help from some awesome friends. But I think there's going to definitely be a bit of a delay before we bring out the next video, because I got a bunch of streams I have to look through again and edit, and oh boy, problems before they'll be ready. Though shout outs to Coloured Insanity for making that a hell of a lot easier. I also should have said this at the beginning as well. This video is not sponsored by the game you're seeing in the background right now, Fight and Rage, but I'm using it for some of the footage and the music in this video because I think it's a good product. I think no one knows that it exists, and if you're into fighting games and beat 'em ups, you should give it a shot. Again, not sponsored, just think it's a good game, and they did no advertising of it, and it deserves more love than it's getting. So, on to the video's topic. While I'm preparing the next bunch of Xenoverse videos, I thought I'd do a little video about something that I've been seeing on the social medias for a few months now, which is the whole thing of, we want Xenoverse 3! When is Xenoverse 3 coming out? And my response to that is, first of all, don't make the assumption that just because something's a sequel, it's going to automatically be better. Street Fighter 5! Excuse me, where was I? Yes. But I thought it would be fun to join in with something I saw on social media for a while, which was, what does the next Xenoverse game need in order to be better than the one that's out right now? So yeah, this is a not in any particular chronological order list of things that could be improved in Xenoverse or put in the new game to make it better. So, let's begin. First things first, let's try and do the most complicated one first. The PvP. I would say, well, there's a lot of things in Xenoverse which has made the game last a lot longer than I thought it would have done. I mean, the game is practically, what, it's 3 years old now? In internet terms, that's a lifetime. Most video games do not survive that long, but Xenoverse is still hanging in there somehow, which is cool, it's awesome. And one of the big reasons for that is the PvP. Now, I never would have thought that the PvP would have picked up in such a big way like it did, but it's still here and it's keeping the game fresh to a degree. However, it has problems, as I'm sure everybody who's played the game knows. Most obvious thing you're obviously going to say right off the bat is, oh, it's the netcode. I'm going to make a bit of a weird comparison now and compare Xenoverse to Street Fighter, which also is kind of blasphemy depending on who I say this to, but hang on, I'm going somewhere with this. See, when Street Fighter first came out and it became the household name that everyone knows now, like, you say Hadouken to people and they just know what it means for the most part. When Street Fighter first came out, the whole concept of combos, as in a combination of attacks one after another, that was a design feature that wasn't designed to be put into the game. It was an accident. Things like jumping in with a flying kick and then going into a sweep to take out the legs, for example, a really simple two-hit combo, but that was not something that they ever intended to be part of the game. But once it became a thing, they were like, oh yeah, we totally planned that, yeah, and it just became like a staple of all fighting games, not just Street Fighter. Why am I bringing this up? Because Xenoverse has some accidental features, I suppose I would say, in terms of the combat. So my first thing I would say is, for Xenoverse 3, they need to take the PvP more seriously, as in how everything works, how everything flows, etc. Because there's so many concepts like the dash cancels, the vanish cancels, the vanish dodges, the key cancels, and things like that. Those are all features in the game, but those are things discovered by the players. They were not, for the most part, intended features in the game. That's just things people had discovered by playing the game so long that they found all these little extra tricks to kind of, in some cases, completely break the combo system. Like, if you know what you're doing on Xenoverse, there's a lot of characters that can basically do endless combos. You can't escape. You have to use a vanish, which if they predict it correctly, they're basically just going to hit you again and the whole process is going to start over again. So if Xenoverse 3, if that's even a thing, is going to be any better than Xenoverse 2, they need to take the PvP more seriously. That is the first thing. Understand how the matches flow, all the weird combinations of glitches that have been discovered, which have become features in the game. They need to take that into account, decide whether or not it should be a feature in the game, or if they should nerf it. Of course, people are going to complain no matter what they do, but at the moment they're just kind of throwing it together. It was not something they put thought into. Also, I might as well just throw this in while we're on this subject. For God's sake, make the AI smarter. Like, there is a lot of people who play this game, myself included, who never learned how to fight hand-to-hand correctly just because key blast builds are just so much easier. Like, why am I going to faff around trying to get a huge-ass combo when I can just stack a bunch of key blast attacks together and it just destroys them in a fraction of the time? It teaches the player bad habits, and then when you go into PvP land, where there's people who are actually competent and know how to dodge some of the stuff, it's just like, it's like you're still on square one. Some of the Zamasu mentor training was pretty good, but I think we need more things like that, and also more things like the fight you're seeing on your screen right now, because this is probably one of the hardest fights in the game, and that's just because these original characters do not steal. Keep interrupting your combos. They don't just stand there watching while you just beat whoever your target is to death. Next thing on the list that I think they need to improve on: parallel quests. This is a small thing, but this drives me crazy. As someone who has clocked over 500 hours on that game, although, by the way, there's people who've done easily double that, saying no names. I would say the parallel quests, they need to add some kind of feature that allows you to adjust the sounds, but more than what we have right now, because right now I believe they have the sound effects, the music, and the voice lines. They need another level for that, which is the volume for pre-scripted dialogue. And what I mean by that is, how many times did you have to do a parallel quest and then you have to put up with things like Vegeta going, "I am being pushed? How is this possible?" And then by the time you've done the quest, you've heard that about 30 times and you're sick of hearing it. Those sort of lines need their own volume bar in the game that you can just switch off entirely. There's even super fans for Dragon Ball Z that I know the parallel quests have driven them crazy. So it's a quality of life thing, my dude. It's not that big a deal to add a feature like that, and it should probably be done. Just a thought. Make the parallel quests so much less going to drive you insane, you know, with the RNG and that. Speaking of which, that brings me to my next thing. Be careful with anything involving RNG, loot boxes, or anything like that. I know they've tried to sneak them into the game with things like TP medals and the figurine mode, which, by the way, is crap and it should be its own game. Why is this even in here? Oh my god. But yeah, they need to be careful how they handle RNG and loot boxes in the future, because if that becomes a barrier which stops players from progressing with whatever goal they're trying to achieve, it's going to be a worse game by default. I mean, the RNG is not as bad as it was in Xenoverse 1, thank God, but we need to keep it that way, and we need to make sure things don't get malicious without wasting our time and money some other way. If they can't respect their time and money, it's not gonna be as good a game. Next thing on the list, I think the way the game handles skills. Now, at the start of the game, this isn't so much of an issue because you don't have that much to sort through, but if you're someone like me, who has spent way too much time on that game, and I've actually nearly 100% completed it on 2 systems, I might add, PC and PS4, you may have noticed a small problem that the inventory is ginormous. Your list of items, your list of gear you can wear, your list of skills, and especially in the case of the skills, there isn't really a way to quickly preview what a skill does and move on. It relies on you basically being a Dragon Ball Super fan to remember what all the skills do and then set up your loadouts, etc, etc, etc. I'm not entirely sure how to fix this problem, but it would be nice if there was a way to, like, favorite your favorite skills or change the order in which they're sorted, because at the moment there's no rhyme or reason to it. The only logic that seems to be to the way they list the skills is like things like the charging key moves. They start with the lowest strength one, and then as you go down the list, it goes to the better ones. I know for a fact that every move has like its own ID number, because I know people who've hacked the game and they know these things. And yeah, every time they add DLC, they just add more moves to the game, and they just get assigned their own ID numbers as well. So I know there's logic to the way they've listed the skills, but we need something like maybe the ability to, I don't know, sort them out alphabetically or something like that. Because it's so easy to miss skills and stuff like that, it's really annoying. And while we're on the subject as well, when you're in a lobby, like just before going into PvP or a parallel quest or whatever, you should have the ability to change your loadouts around. Yeah, you might get stopped halfway through and it's like, okay, we're starting the match now, you better get going. But that would be such a good quality of a life thing. You wouldn't have to keep going back to town to change your loadout and then going back into the game to change everything again, because it's like, okay, my strategy's not working, I'm going to completely change my moveset and then come out of the game and then load out the room and get everybody together again. Oh, it's annoying. I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels this way about that one. Oh, and also, for the PC players, when you're doing the parallel quests on the PC version, if you're in a lobby and you try and change the parallel quest number, it glitches every single time. I don't think that happens on console. I think that's only a PC glitch. Why has no one talked about this? I swear, I don't know anyone who's kicked up a fuss about this, and dimps are just like, It's a simple basic feature that like you add it into the game yourself and it doesn't even work correctly. I'm just like, what? And I'm looking at the timer, and yeah, we've roughly hit around that 10-minute mark, so what do you think? What do you think that Xenoverse 2 needs, or Xenoverse 3 needs, in order to improve the game a lot better? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Let's have a conversation, everybody. Let's try and pick up some of the issues that no one else has picked up, really, and sent to dimps, like the whole, why do the parallel quest lobbies not work, for example. This is me, the RWG, AKATheSKay, here to say, I can dodge sometimes. It's just something like only 20% success rate or something. New video will be coming sooner or later. I've just got to watch the stream footage first before I can start editing again. Oh boy. And I'll see you next time.